The One Year Bible, the Living Bible Paraphrased, August 11th. Nehemiah, chapter 1, verse 1 to chapter 3, verse 14. The autobiography of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. In December of the 20th year of the reign of King Artaxerxes of Persia, when I was at the palace at Shushan, one of my fellow Jews named Hanani came to visit me with some men who had arrived from Judah. I took the opportunity to inquire about how things were going in Jerusalem. How are they getting along? I asked. The Jews who returned to Jerusalem from their exile here. Well, they replied, things are not good. The wall of Jerusalem is still torn down, and the gates are burned. When I heard this, I sat down and cried. In fact, I refused to eat for several days, for I spent the time in prayer unto the God of heaven. O Lord God, I cried, O great and awesome God who keeps his promises and is so loving and kind to those who love and obey him, hear my prayer. Listen carefully to what I say. Look down and see me praying night and day for your people Israel. I confess that we have sinned against you. Yes, I and my people have committed the horrible sin of not obeying the commandments you gave us through your servant Moses. Oh, please remember what you told Moses. You said, if you sin, I'll scatter you among the nations. But if you return to me and obey my laws, even though you are exiled to the farthest corners of the universe, I will bring you back to Jerusalem. For Jerusalem is the place in which I have chosen to live. We are your servants, the people you rescued by your great power. O Lord, please hear my prayer. Heed the prayer of those of us who delight to honor you. Please help me now as I go in and ask the king for a great favor. Put it into his heart to be kind to me. I was the king's cupbearer. One day in April, 4 months later, I was serving the king his wine. He asked me, why so sad? You aren't sick, are you? You look like a man with deep troubles. For until then I had always been cheerful when I was with him. I was badly frightened, but I replied, Sir, why shouldn't I be sad? For the city where my ancestors are buried is in ruins, and the gates have been burned down. Well, what should be done? The king asked. With a quick prayer to the God of heaven, I replied, if it please your majesty, and if you look upon me with your royal favor, send me to Judah to rebuild the city of my fathers. The king replied, with the queen sitting beside him, how long will you be gone? When will you return? So it was agreed, and I set the time for my departure. Then I added this to my request. If it please the king, give me letters to the governors west of the Euphrates River, instructing them to let me travel through their countries on my way to Judah. Also a letter to Asaph, the manager of the king's forest, instructing him to give me timber for the beams and for the gates of the fortress near the temple, and for the city walls, and for a house for myself. And the king granted these requests, for God was being gracious to me. When I arrived in the provinces west of the Euphrates River, I delivered the king's letters to the governors there. The king, I should add, had sent along army officers and troops to protect me. But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah an Ammonite, who was a government official, heard of my arrival, they were very angry that anyone was interested in helping Israel. 3 days after my arrival at Jerusalem, I stole out during the night, taking only a few men with me, for I hadn't told a soul about the plans for Jerusalem that God had put into my heart. I was mounted on my donkey, and the others were on foot, and we went out through the valley gate toward the Jackal's Well, and over to the Dung Gate, to see the broken walls and burned gates. Then we went to the Fountain Gate, and to the king's pool. But my donkey couldn't get through the rubble, so we circled the city, and I followed the brook, inspecting the wall, and entered again at the valley gate. The city officials did not know I had been out there, or why, for as yet I had said nothing to anyone about my plans, not to the political or religious leaders, not even to those who would be doing the work. But now I told them, "You know full well the tragedy of our city. It lies in ruins and its gates are burned. Let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and rid ourselves of this disgrace." Then I told them about the desire God had put into my heart, and of my conversation with the king and the plan to which he had agreed. They replied at once, "Good, let's rebuild the wall." So the work began. But when Sanballat, Tobiah, and Gershom the Arab heard of our plan, they scoffed and said, "What are you doing, rebelling against the king like this?" But I replied, "The God of heaven will help us, and we, his servants, will rebuild this wall. But you may have no part in this affair." Then Eliashib the high priest and the other priests rebuilt the wall as far as the Tower of the Hundred and the Tower of Hananiel. Then they rebuilt the sheep gate, hung its doors, and dedicated it. Men from the city of Jericho worked next to them, and beyond them was the work crew led by Zachar, son of Imri. The fish gate was built by the sons of Hashanah. They did the whole thing, cut the beams, hung the doors, and made the bolts and bars. Meremoth, son of Uriah, son of Hakkoz, repaired the next section of wall, and beyond him were Meshullam, the son of Berechiah, son of Meshezabel, and Zadok, son of Bana. Next were the men from Tekoa, but their leaders were lazy and didn't help. The old gate was repaired by Joiada, son of Pashiah, and Meshullam, son of Besodiah. They laid the beams, set up the doors, and installed the bolts and bars. Next to them were Melatiah from Gibeon, Jadon from Mer Anoth, and men from Gibeon and Mizpah, who were citizens of the province. Aziel, son of Harhaniah, was a goldsmith by trade, but he too worked on the wall. Beyond him was Hananiah, a manufacturer of perfumes. Repairs were not needed from there to the broad wall. Rephaiah, son of Hur, the mayor of half of Jerusalem, was next down the wall from them. Jedaiah, son of Harumphah, repaired the wall beside his own house, and next to him was Hattush, son of Hashabniah. Then came Malchijah, son of Harim, and Hashub, son of Pahath Moab, who repaired the furnace tower in addition to a section of the wall. Shallum, son of Halohesh, and his daughters repaired the next section. He was the mayor of the outer half of Jerusalem. The people from Janoah, led by Hanan, built the valley gate, hung the doors, and installed the bolts and bars. Then they repaired the 1,500 feet of wall to the dung gate. The dung gate was repaired by Malchijah, son of Rechab, the mayor of Beth Haccherem area, and after building it, he hung the doors and installed the bolts and bars. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 1 through 24. Now, about those questions you asked in your last letter, my answer is that if you do not marry, it is good. But usually it is best to be married, each man having his own wife, and each woman having her own husband, because otherwise you might fall back into sin. The man should give his wife all that is her right as a married woman, and the wife should do the same for her husband. For a girl who marries no longer has full right to her own body, for her husband then has his right to it too, and in the same way the husband no longer has full right to his own body, for it belongs also to his wife. So do not refuse these rights to each other. The only exception to this rule would be the agreement of both husband and wife to refrain from their rights of marriage for a limited time, so that they can give themselves more completely to prayer. Afterwards, they should come together again so that Satan won't be able to tempt them because of the lack of self-control. I am not saying you must marry, but you certainly may if you wish. I wish everyone could get along without marrying just as I do, but we are not all the same. God gives some the gift of a husband or wife, and others he gives the gift of being able to stay happily unmarried. So I say to those who aren't married and to widows, better to stay unmarried if you can, just as I am. But if you can't control yourselves, go ahead and marry. It is better to marry than to burn with lust. Now, for those who are married, I have a command, not just a suggestion. And it is not a command for me, for this is what the Lord himself has said. A wife must not leave her husband, but if she is separated from him, let her remain single or else go back to him, and the husband must not divorce his wife. Here I want to add some suggestions of my own. These are not direct commands from the Lord, but they seem right to me. If a Christian has a wife who is not a Christian, but she wants to stay with him anyway, he must not leave her or divorce her. And if a Christian woman has a husband who isn't a Christian, and he wants her to stay with him, she must not leave him. For perhaps the husband who isn't a Christian may become a Christian with the help of his Christian wife, and the wife who isn't a Christian may become a Christian with the help of her Christian husband. Otherwise, if the family separates, the children might never come to know the Lord, whereas a united family may, in God's plan, result in the children's salvation. But if the husband or wife who isn't a Christian is eager to leave, it is permitted. In such cases, the Christian husband or wife should not insist that the other stay, for God wants his children to live in peace and harmony. For after all, there is no assurance to your wives that your husbands will be converted if they stay, and the same may be said to you husbands concerning your wives. But be sure in deciding these matters that you are living as God intended, marrying or not marrying in accordance with God's direction and help, and accepting whatever situation God has put you into. This is my rule for the churches. For instance, a man who already has gone through the Jewish ceremony of circumcision before he became a Christian shouldn't worry about it, and if he hasn't been circumcised, he shouldn't do it now, for it doesn't make any difference at all whether a Christian has gone through this ceremony or not. But it makes a lot of difference whether he is pleasing God and keeping God's commandments. That is the important thing. Usually a person should keep on with the work he was doing when God called him. Are you a slave? Don't let that worry you. But of course, if you get a chance to be free, take it. If the Lord calls you and you are a slave, remember that Christ has set you free from the awful power of sin. And if he has called you and you are free, remember that you are now a slave of Christ. You have been bought and paid for by Christ, so you belong to him. Be free now from all these earthly prides and fears. So, dear brothers, whatever situation a person is in when he becomes a Christian, let him stay there, for now the Lord is there to help him. Psalm 31 verses 19 through 24. Oh, how great is your goodness to those who publicly declare that you will rescue them. For you have For you have stored up Oh, how great is your goodness to those who publicly declare that you will rescue them. For you have stored up great blessings for those who trust and reverence you. Hide your loved ones in the shelter of your presence, safe beneath your hand, safe from all conspiring men. Blessed is the Lord, for he has shown me that his never-failing love protects me like the walls of a fort. I spake too hastily when I said, the Lord has deserted me. For you listened to my plea and answered me. O love the Lord, all of you who are his people, for the Lord protects those who are loyal to him, but harshly punishes all who haughtily reject him. So cheer up. Take courage if you are depending on the Lord. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 4. Pride, lust, and evil actions are all sin.